Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Everything and Nothing. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing fine. I hope life is treating you amazingly and you are treating life the way you want it to be treating you back. With love, with kindness, with fun, and whatever other core value you have that's important to you. So today, this episode is all about the completion of the myth of work-life balance. And I'm really, really excited to share this one, as I don't know how you are, but I'm the type of person that I enjoy when I feel or I see that something has come to an end and it's been completed and it feels so good and like, yep, that's done. Kind of like how I feel when I finish a skirt or I finish a project. Well, that's how this episode feels like. This episode really feels like it's come full circle. We're getting to it. Now let's weave it together and make it a beautiful, nice summary. So, as we reach the final chapter of the myth of work-life balance series, this one is not about fixing your calendar. It's not about how to optimize your productivity or chasing some imaginary state of balance so that you can have a balance in work and life. It's more about integration. So this episode is really about bringing together everything that we talked about in the previous episodes: the communication, boundaries, truth, trust, safety, self-awareness, emotional maturity, humanity, and we place them back where they belong in your life experience. Because as I kept talking and as I kept saying in the previous episodes, life doesn't happen in little tiny compartments. Life happens in this big bubble where everything's just moving and everything is really connected. As I mentioned in previous episodes, you don't leave your emotions at the door when you log into work as much as we want to. I remember one time when I was in my mid-20s and I went into the martial arts school and I was having a really rough day. I probably had a tough evening the night before with an abusive episode. And so I remember I walked in to the school and I was so tired. I was so exhausted. And my supervisor called me into the office and I walked in and the first thing he said to me was, walk out, leave your attitude at the door and then come back in. And I thought, okay, I can do that, but it was really hard. Of course I did it. But it's just a reminder of, would it be nice to have had a place where I could have in that moment expressed those feelings so I wouldn't have to carry them in there. But they are part of who we are. They are part of our experience. So another example is you don't pause your humanity just because the role demands performance. I don't even know if I told you, but I had this experience, this moment where I was sitting down in a meeting room with some people, and the senior person, completely forgot to bring organization on the call, really. And every time he would ask for one thing, then the next call he would change his mind and ask for something else. I think he just had a lot going on, but he wasn't the type of person to say, and that meant, okay, I have a lot going on, I'm a little disorganized. He was more the type of person that would show up, and if you didn't read his mind, not only would he be upset, but he would be very disrespectful and very demanding, and he would raise his voice almost as if he would become a parent and he expected other people to become a child. Now, I know that has worked for other people, and some people would be like, ignore him, whatever. Other people would be like, oh no, what can I do? How can I make it better? If you know me, I'm the type of person that would say, I don't think so. You do not get to talk to me like that. That is not how it works. Remember, treat others the way you want to be treated. If that's how you're going to be treating me, then prepare yourself, because I can play that game too. Needless to say, he raised his voice at me as if I was some kind of child. And he said, what's the plan? And I looked, this was during a virtual call, and I looked at him and I said, the plan is what I already told you the plan was. If it doesn't make sense, then ask me for clarification, but do not ask me again what the plan is. I already gave you the plan. And he started, getting really upset and raising his voice. And eventually I told him, hey, you can't talk to me like that. If this is how this call is going, we need to end the call and come back and have a reset. I already gave you what you wanted. Here it is, moving on. Right. So again, that is my human side within me. That is, my way of saying this is my balance. Because balance is not always about being all diplomatic and yes, of course, no. Sometimes balance comes across with meeting or matching someone else's energy and saying no. In my world, in my opinion, in my expression, I get off balance when I start shrinking myself to help or make it comfortable for the other person. And that's where things start going really, really off balance. So again, pausing humanity just because the role demands performance is not what we're looking for. Work-life balance, in my opinion, was never something that we wanted to achieve. For me, work-life, or actually just balance in life, in my opinion, it's something that we design. It's something that starts with us. So this episode is really inviting you to step out of the survival mode and into creatorship, to consciously design a life that works for you, not against you. So I want to talk about integration and why it matters more than balance. Talk about how to really design a life aligned with core values, energy, and seasons, and what it means to live as a human, not a divided one, but as a whole human. And of course, when we think about work and in the topic of innovation, how innovation, leadership, and personal life all meet at the same center, you. So it's not about doing more, but it's more about living truer. And if anything, that's what every little subtle message has been shared in all the other episodes. So let's get started. Plain and simple. Integration. Integration is really about coherence. It's about alignment between who you are, what you value, and how you live. How you live your life in all the areas of your life. I keep, visualizing, or I keep painting this visual of a circle, of a bubble, of a space. And in this space, in this bubble, in the center, it's you. And around it, it's all of these experiences and all of these areas of life. This bubble is what I call life. This is life. This is your existence. And all there in there are areas that you want to explore that are part of your daily experiences, relationships, physical health, mental health, profession, career, your relationship with your spirituality or your religion, things that matter, things that are important to you, things that you need to survive in this experience, money, budgeting, savings, you know, finances as a whole. All of these little things are in there. And you get to choose how you call and what you describe those areas. I talked about that at the very, very beginning. But it's really about you being at the center of that and you having clarity on what matters to you. What are you living for? What are you actually here to do? And it's not about perfection. It's not about symmetry. It's about honesty. With the awareness that all of those areas, if we were to define them as a pie chart, those areas are not all going to be equally the same all the time. They're constantly going to be shifting because for those areas to be consistently in the same level of satisfaction, all at an 8 or all at a 9, everything outside of that world, everything outside of your bubble of life has to be consistent. And we all know that change is the one thing that we have guaranteed in our life, that it's constantly changing. People change their mind, jobs change, economy changes because a bunch of humans are out there changing their mind and living their own experience. So it's more about honesty and checking in with yourself. So when I talk about integration, what you want to integrate is your values, your core values, because your core values will guide your decisions. And those decisions then become your compass. And when you have clear values, then you understand what your boundaries are and what it is that you're protecting. And when those boundaries become clear, they become easier to express, easier to understand. And the first person that disrespects those values or those boundaries, and the first person that actually has the ability, the capacity to disrespect those boundaries is you, the one setting them. So it's important to have that clarity. Integrating your humanity as an asset, not a liability. And this is where life design comes in. Life design is one of the things that I'm passionate about. It's the reason why I wrote the book From the Ground Up, Design a Life You Love. And what I mean with design a life that actually works, that you actually love, is a life that you choose to live. And not that you're choosing to live out of survival mode, but that you're choosing to live because you are aware of who you are aware of what you want, you are aware of what matters to you, and you are aware of what it is that you want to experience. And when you start designing a life from that place, everything changes because you constantly have to be aware of where are you? How are you standing? You are the foundation of this life. So to get that going, to get that integration going, you need to ask questions like, what matters to me now? Not what matters to me 10 years ago when I wanted to buy this house. Now that no, 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 no. Now, right now, with the awareness that what you wanted 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 days ago may have already changed. And what you want right now is completely different. When I talk about life design in the book, I explain it as seasons, and we're in different seasons. And sometimes you want to start designing your life in a winter season or in a summer season. It'll feel different than when you are designing a life in the spring season. And that's important. That matters. Okay. And the reason why it changes and it's not always the same is it depends on how you are and what has contributed to you having to make a choice to design a different life or to pivot that life that you had designed. The other thing that you want to ask when you start thinking about balance and designing a life that works, a balanced life, is reflecting on where am I leaking energy trying to be someone that I'm not. And I talked about this in a couple of the episodes where I mentioned, if you are authentically a happy go lucky, positive, solution focused person, where in your life are you having to hide that, to bleed out because you're not supposed to be like that? Maybe at home you're allowed to be all happy and go lucky, and your kids and your supportive spouse, wife, husband, boyfriend, whatever you want to have, or whatever it is that you have, is all about let's have fun, let's dance, let's just be. And then you get to work, and that work is more rigid, even though they call themselves innovative, even though they call themselves, creative people, but in reality, they're not, because that happens. Or vice versa. What if at work you have this creative space where everybody's just having fun, creating, designing, delivering, making positive changes in the world, being responsible. But then when you go home, the person that you're with, or the community that you're part of, or family members that you share a lot of time with, they're the opposite, and they constantly make fun of you and they constantly criticize you. Those things matter. Those things are so important. So it's important to check in. Where are you being something or trying to be something or someone that you're not? And then the other question that's super important is what needs to be integrated, not optimized, integrated. What needs to be worked through, worked with? Because when you design your life intentionally, life is beautiful. And all that is in life becomes part of life. instead of competing with life. And in my opinion, that's exactly where sustainable creativity, leadership, innovation lives. Not from a place of burnout and exhaustion and tiredness, but in alignment. So, this episode is really about inviting you to stop chasing balance and start designing a life that feels coherent, that feels human, and that feels alive. And the only person that can do that is you. And the only way that you can do it is through honesty, being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself, having a place where you can reflect on what's needed, what needs to shift, do an analysis. Oftentimes in my line of work in innovation, we do a lot of discovery sessions where we talk, to the customer. We do interviews, we ask, we dig deep, we separate different areas, and we do an assessment of where things stand. Do the same thing with your life. Literally, from the ground up, that book is literally a step by step guideline on how to do that. It's why I am passionate about the work that I do. It's why I do what I do. It's why I'm here sitting at my desk on this beautiful winter day at the start of this new year, telling you, reminding you, inviting you to do it, to take a moment to explore and to have identify people that can support you through this. If you can't do it alone, find a place, find a space. If you're interested, check out my website. I have the program Design a Life You Love, and I have it in different formats. Currently, I have a live cohort where I join the calls with small groups and we talk and we explore and we start doing assessments and we start checking and we start having that clarity within ourselves. Other people like to do it more self-paced. So in the next months, check out the website, register on the newsletter. I will be putting the self-paced online program where people can just do it on their own, along with the book. But you have at least the blueprint in video, in voice, if you like to hear more than read, on how to get this done. The reason I'm telling you this is how important I feel this is, not just for you and your experience, but for the future and what we are leaving behind. If we were all take a moment to get to know ourselves from that place and to design a life responsibly from a balanced place, our experience as a whole on this planet would be completely different. And yes, I believe it can be done. And yes, I believe you can do it. I believe it can only do better, or it can only make your life better than what it is right now. And no, it's not an easy thing to do because it requires honesty, it requires integrity within yourself, it requires walking away from habits, from patterns, from relationships, from jobs. It requires speaking up. It requires you being true to yourself. And many of us haven't done that in many, many years for whatever reason. No judgment, no punishment, no criticism, just an observation. And how I know that is because I have done that myself. And I see it. I see it in my clients. I see it in the teams. I see it with the people around. But we get to choose to live differently. We get to choose to do it in another way. There are many people out there that are living their way. They are living their life. They are living their core values. They are living their vision with integrity, with balance, and with clarity. And there's joy in that. Life was designed to be experienced and be enjoyed, not be divided, not make it an expectation, not make it a label. not make it a division of yourself. Life was designed as a gift to be enjoyed, to have fun, and to contribute to the larger gift of existence. One life design at a time. So there you go. There you have it. That's all I have for this time, for this episode as we close up the series. I hope you enjoyed them. I enjoyed doing them. And I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to seeing what a beautiful design you will be committing to go out and build and contribute in a good way. I look forward to hearing about your decisions, your choices, and what kind of life you're choosing to live. What it is that you're choosing to create and contribute into this amazing experience, amazing existence. So, there you go. As I always say, until next time, continue to enjoy life, continue to find that balance within, and bringing that life into a place that feels balanced and feels good, that you can enjoy, that you can live. Until next time.